From high hopes of making it big to ending up with over a $1 million loss. This is how running 3 wash plants at the same time disappointed Parker Schnabel. Let's dive in. Parker Schnabel was having a bad day. It was 9 weeks into the season and he had started big by investing $2.5 million on a promising haul only to end up with just over $1 million worth of gold. Knowing that he was running out of time, Parker decided to do something he'd never done before. Run 3 wash plants simultaneously. With more ground to cover, he sent a 3rd wash plant and an additional crew to Kenan Stewart's on the Indian River, with the hopes of scoring over $2.5 million in just 3 weeks. After hearing Parker's plan, Mitch Blask shared the same enthusiasm and hope of making it big in the shortest time possible by running multiple wash plants at the same time. To him, each wash plant would manage to get a good amount of gold each week. And when they combined all the gold from the 3 plants, it would sum up to a lot of money. At least that's what they thought. As exciting as this was, Parker understood that they had to do the work. Running 3 wash plants meant the potential of getting more gold, yes, but it also meant more pressure on the staff and more headaches for Parker. Need to get Bob down there and fired up. It should be around 900 ounces in 3 weeks. As hard as it would be, it was the only way, and they had to pay the price. At Dominion Creek, Parker already had wash plant Roxanne running with pay dirt from the long cut. A mile and a half from there was Big Red churning through the top gravels in the bridge cut. The only thing that remained was firing up a 45-ton shaker deck called Bob. From his Dominion yard, they were to move it 12 miles down narrow winding dirt tracks through a 25 feet wide creek to its home on Kenan Stewart's ground. But this was no easy task. To help transport the wash plant, Tyson Lee brought in his mentor and hauled expert, Mike Tepper. The first step was to load the wash plant onto a carrier and balance it properly, since the trip to the destination would be a bumpy one. And this was no easy job. After loading it up, the easiest part was done. And now it was time for the hard part. Surviving the harsh route to the destination and getting the wash plant there in one piece. Things were going well, and after crossing a river, the pilot truck was proving to be effective. After arriving at the destination, the plan was simple. Set everything up before dark, since they wanted to utilize every minute to haul as much gold as they could. In this mining industry, a day can mean making millions or losing millions. And so they began setting it up. 7,000's going to be tough, but it might be doable. You just raised the bar pretty high. Should we get back at her, Mitch? Yeah, we better. But honestly, good job, guys. Thanks, man. Yeah, the only thing remaining to do to begin the operation was a push of a button. With Brandon ready to start feeding pay dirt to the wash plant, Bob was activated and the slewing began. By now, Parker and his crew had 3 wash plants running. To them, this increased the odds of meeting their 10,000-ounce goal of that year. And although time was running out, the team did their best and got 3 thermoses of gold, each thermos for each wash plant. After weighing the first thermos from Big Red, the crew obtained 58.85 ohms, worth around $147,000. That was no good for Parker. The next thermos to be weighed was from Roxanne. They had managed to obtain 185.65, worth $46,400. Lastly, they measured the returns of the new guide, Bob. Set up to get Parker's season on track, the wash plant was expected to bring in over 300 ounces per week. However, Bob only managed a quarter of its run time. To Parker's disappointment, after weighing the gold, they got 58.45 ohms, worth $146,000. This brought the season total to $117. These returns really angered Parker, since he was making that much with just 1 wash plan in the previous seasons. At one point, he even managed to make over $1.4 million. But how did this happen? It was a busy day at Dominion Creek. Parker's crew was working hard. testing out their new wash plant, Roxanne, during its first full week. Tatiana was still getting used to it. Tyson and Mitch had added a conveyor at the end that threw out the unwanted dirt, so the crew didn't have to do it by hand. This made things easier, especially for Tatiana. Now she could do her job from farther away. Initially, Tatiana fed the plant 250 yards of pay dirt per hour. Right now, I'm still getting used to the new plant. Tyson and Mitch put a conveyor at the end that basically shoots out the coarse tailings so we don't have to do it, which means now I can go get paid from a lot longer distances. As slewing went on, Parker showed up with a new idea. He told Alex they needed to speed things up. Being experienced, Alex asked if there was enough water to handle it. Parker, stubborn as ever, insisted they had to increase the feed rate by 20%. Alex knew better than to argue. He agreed because in the end, more dirt meant more gold, and more gold meant more money for everyone. With that, they pushed ahead, hoping the gamble would pay off. Parker went ahead and increased Roxanne's feed rate up to 300 yards an hour, and Alex boosted the water being pumped to the plant from 2,800 to 3,000 gall a minute to wash the increased dirt that was now flowing through. After this, Parker informed Tatiana about the increase and left. The belts were now much faster than what the crew was dealing with before, so Tatiana had to work faster to beat that increase. But then something unexpected happened. There was some water spilling out of the distribution box coming all the way to the floor. It was as if the plant's distribution box had clogged, taking too much dirt and water than it could handle. Seeing this, Tatiana called Mitch to check it out. In Mitch's perspective, the plant was initially working just fine before Parker increased its rate. Now, the plant was running 20% over capacity, and it was spilling everything everywhere. To Mitch, patience was the name of the game when working with a plant like Roxanne, but patience was never Parker's strong suit. By increasing the feed rate and water flow, Parker flooded the distribution box. The plant system was really struggling, and with the dirt material boiling over, this was not a good thing at all. And now this thing's probably running at 20% over capacity, and it's spilling everywhere. The water coming out would cause erosion, which was the last thing the crew wanted since the ground below would weaken, forcing them to take down the plant and rebuild it somewhere else. This would take a lot of time and energy, which should be focused on feeding the plant and obtaining more gold. Mitch needed to strike a balance between a smooth water delivery while still having enough to wash the increased pay dirt flowing through the plant. But to do all this, they first needed to halt everything. To ensure that there was no more pay dirt coming in, Tatiana had to let the feeder run out first before she could add any more dirt. Mitch had to work fast to fix the problem. The plant was shut down, which meant no money was coming in, something Parker wouldn't be happy about. The main issue was that Roxanne's custom-made spray bars were wide, causing too much water to flow and making a mess. Mitch had a plan. He wanted to attach nozzles to all the spray bars, as this would use water pressure to break up and wash the dirt faster while using less water. If done right, the rocks would come out clean and the water flow would be controlled. By adding nozzles with flares, the water would spread evenly, creating a steady flow to move the material properly. They were about to see if the plan would work. Mitch could now turn the pump back to 2,800 a minute while maintaining the feed rate at 300 yards an hour. With the plant running as well as it should, Mitch had to report to Parker. As they talked about the challenges Mitch had encountered, Chris Dumit suggested that they should weigh some gold. By this time, Sleufer, Chris's crew plant, had been running on Australia Creek for a month, averaging 145 a week. After measuring the gold, they got about 270.05 ohms, worth over $540,000. That was not a bad week for them. Next up was Parker's gold. Before swapping in Roxanne, Big Red was Parker's main moneymaker, averaging over 370 ounces a week. Despite the downtime Parker's team had experienced when repairing Roxanne, they still managed to get $453.08. That was nearly $120,000 in a day. It was the biggest haul of the season, worth over $1.4 million. Everyone was happy.